mind's gotten a lot quieter, but I also get kind of spacey. Like I get like it's almost like an awe, just like there's an awe that comes over me. It's not overwhelming or anything, but
Yeah, that's good.
I kind of like it's very spacey feeling. Like I'm just like, huh? You know what I mean? I mean, it's
Yeah,
not. It feels nice. It's not
yeah,
bad. You know what I mean? But I guess that it's hard to do that around people. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
it's I find myself all of the Pavasanas, is that the right word?
yeah. Yeah, it's almost impossible to do it around people. It can be. You can do it. You can
Yeah,
have a degree of it around people, but not deeply. Which is why, again, traditionally, at some point, we usually end up leaving our worldly lives. Many of us will leave our worldly lives at some point in the spiritual journey. Well, traditionally, this is often what happens because it's hard to do this around people.
yeah.
Now, if
It's,
we stay with any of these phenomenal sadhanas, sadhana means spiritual practice. If we stay with any of these phenomenal practices, phenomenal sadhanas to do in the dream, they're all traps. So, for example, chanting, if all you do is chant and that's all you stay with, then that's a trap. But chanting is a wonderful practice and it will purify you and take you to beyond chanting. And same when you're in this blissful, blissed out place. This is also a wonderful thing. It's purifying you. It's driving out your negative energy, making you feel happy and whole. Rebalancing, redressing your energy system. Now, of course, if that's all you do, like any other practice, like any other worldly practice, then it's a trap. But yes, if you're attracted to it, then do it. It will make you feel good. It will improve your self-esteem. It will take away many of your anxieties and worries. And it's becoming closer to God. In the Vedanta teachings, it's called Ananda Maya Kosha, which is the fifth of the five sheaths, the five coverings of the self. The last covering is Ananda Maya Kosha, which is the covering of bliss. And it's a wonderful place to be. But yes, it's ultimately it's a part of the dream, it's a part of mind. And once we've had, at some point you'll get bored of it, believe me. Even this blissful sheath becomes painful, it becomes irritating. All these things eventually start to become irritating. See, say you first become a spiritual seeker and you go into some kind of spiritual class or workshop and you see all these people dressed in these bright spiritual looking clothes and they're so friendly and loving and they seem so happy and full of energy and joy. And you think, oh my gosh, this is heaven. This is much better than the previous people are hanging around with who are all negative, dull, and worldly and just obsessed with money or whatever your reaction you have. But then after some time, spending some time with these spiritual types, you start to see all the flaws that are in this community as well. You start to disagree with maybe some of the ways they think and some of the personalities maybe start to irritate you and the clothes they're wearing, you think, oh, they're a bit over the top. So all these things that were quite once really lovely about the spiritual practice, it can start to get annoying or get in the way or not be for you anymore. Just out of interest, just show of hands, anyone experienced that kind of thing? Just wanna, yeah. So good. I'd say about 70 or 80% of you raised your hands. Oh, okay. More hands. Okay, I think that's pretty much almost everyone there. Yeah. Some of you virtually raising your hands. Appreciate that too. So yeah. But does that mean these practices are rubbish? Does that mean these people are rubbish and we should look down upon them? Of course not. These practices are beautiful. These are wonderful practices when you need them. And we should have gratitude and give thanks that God gave us these practices and these groups of people and these types of practitioners and these people when we needed them. And then at some point, that same practice, which was once so healing and lovely, you move on. Same with Ananda Mahapurush. When you're in that blissed out place, stay there. It's lovely. It's like when you first go to that spiritual group and they're dancing and they're chanting and it feels wonderful. It's just what you need. You feel like you're coming home. And then later you see the flaws in the community and the ways they're thinking, and you don't look down upon them, but you say, well, okay, thank you for helping me through this time in my life. I'm going to now do something else. Ultimately, the ultimate sadhana is self-inquiry. Because self-inquiry goes directly out of Maya, it takes us directly to pure consciousness. It's the straight line. It's a direct path. But because of our conditioning, because of our vasanas, our habitual, mental, egoic tendencies, we're attracted to the objective world too much, so self-inquiry seems difficult. Sometimes we just need to reduce those vasanas, purify, that's called purification. And the simplest way to do that is to do a sadhana you enjoy. The sadhana you do is the best sadhana. Remember that. The sadhana you actually do is the best sadhana. There might be theoretically a better one. But if you're not doing it, it's no good. It's like a map going from place A to place B. The quickest may be a straight line. But if you're not even doing that, it's better to take a roundabout route, the scenic route. At least you're making progress. So the path of surrender, path of love is easy. When you just sit back, relax. You're already doing this, Adam, by the sounds of it, in your own way. Again, you may not call it the path of surrender, but it sounds like, by what you're saying, you're seeing through the sense of doership. You're coming to the sense of peace. So just do that. At some point, you'll get sick of it as well. You realize, I've done this now. I've abided in the peace. I feel much happier in myself. Maybe a lot of you, I'm not speaking about you personally, Adam, because I don't know you, but you might say, oh, a lot of my psychological issues or psychological tendencies are now being healed. A lot of my self-esteem issues have been healed. And I'm able to access these blissful states of consciousness, and I love them. They've been great. But now, is that it? I'm still consider myself to be body mind, really. I've seen through the sense of doership most of the time, many times. I'm able to be happy many times, but I still feel like I'm a person. Is this self-realization? No. I still haven't discovered what I am. Not really. I've come a long way. I've healed a lot. I'm happy. I'm happier. I'm saner, perhaps. Perhaps you're more sane, more wise. Maybe not, I don't know. Maybe your friends won't think so. But then, when the mind is at peace and calm, but there's still that root illusion on the body-mind, we go towards the I am. Now, this I am refers to that presence, that subject, that consciousness that you are. And you sink into it, you relax into it, you abide into it. It's beautiful. And you disappear. You disappear into it, dissolve into it. This is self-inquiry. It's dissolving into the divine, merging into the self, losing your mind, being consumed by God. It's what you want. It's what you really want. It's what your heart desires, is for you to die as a separate entity. Again, not the body, not to kill a body, but for you, the ego, for this ego illusion to die. This is what you learn. This is what we all yearn for. We yearn to rid ourselves of the burden of this body, the burden of this body-mind, and the burden of having to live in a world. This is what we really yearn for. Our heart yearns to get rid of this body-mind-world burden. The answer is not suicide in the physical sense of the word, not in the sense of killing yourself in that way. The answer is self-inquiry, which is suicide for ignorance, suicide for the ego suicide. It's drowning the ego in the loving waters of the self. And it's because it's what we love, it's our true nature, we long for this. We love it. It's our own nature, which is love. So it is the easiest thing. Because the easiest thing is to do what you love to do. And this is the greatest love, greatest enjoyment. What can be easier than being yourself and immersing yourself into that which you enjoy the most? This is why there's a spiritual slogan that is much sort of derided and looked down upon, which is follow your bliss. But there is a lot of wisdom in this follow your bliss. You follow your bliss, it will take you to the self. But not if we do it just hedonistically, but spiritually. It will take us inwards to the happiness within. Not if we go outwards towards objects. That's called hedonism. That's materialism. Materialism is nothing to do with material. It's to do with seeking pleasure and security, or pleasure mainly, through sense objects. When we seek the same pleasure through inner forces within, this becomes the spiritual path, the holy path within. This is the sacred journey to the center of the universe, ourselves.